Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all this WXYZ. All right, moving on. I've never heard, okay, I've heard a lot of rushed Canadian anthems through the years every time they play in the States, but that one takes the cake for botched lyrics and rushed and just like
All right,
instead
listen.
of going up on notes, going down just to not hurt her voice to save it for the American anthem. That's something I've
I've
never seen.
heard of point shaving on like games and stuff, but there was some dirty shit going on for that anthem. Like someone bet so heavy on the under. That's the only explanation for it, right? Like someone made a fortune off that tonight.
I didn't even think of that angle. Damn, that could be too. Ilya
It's the
Sorokin
Tim
fan
Donaghy
club
of
shout out on.
anthems.
So Ilya Sorokin fan club on Twitter, who's obviously a Islanders fan, commented that they even screwed up the American national anthem last week. The same singer, so
She's
it's
on the
not even
fix.
like a strictly Canadian bias. You just can't get the anthems right, apparently. But man, that was Twitter was like you're still on that, eh? You think there was money behind this?
Mm.
Hey, you never
There's
know.
a happy bookie out there somewhere.
Oh man. So the story of the night otherwise was JT sitting at 998 looking for that 1,000 in the island, which would just be fantastic. And of course he managed to pull that off. The amount of signs and booing, and I saw one person with a jersey, I retweeted it, that says traitor. It's like a
Oh yeah.
Tavares, but they put traitor over it. Get over it, guys.
I don't get the vitriol. Like this was how many years ago? He was a cornerstone in your franchise. He didn't demand a trade or anything like that. He just left on free agency to the place where he actually grew up. Like I get it for a year or two, maybe three, but for this long, and when the guy hits 1,000 points in your building, maybe just clap a little bit.
Yeah, shout out to the actual Islanders on the bench who are giving him stick taps. But oh my god, he's on year 6 now of his 7-year
Yeah,
contract. That's insane, guys. Get over it. Like players leave all the time, and captains leave, and like you said, it wasn't a trade. It wasn't like he ran out of town. Like we've seen Alfredson and Sundin finish their careers on other teams, and like yeah, that's a little different. When you play 18 seasons with a team, but like
yeah.
it's not like JT was there for 3/4 of his career. Like
But
I
even
don't
then,
know,
like those guys are
it's
welcome
frustrating.
back. Like it's the Islanders just have nothing else to cheer for, and if they don't have something to cheer for, then they might as well find a villain because that's where they're pushing all of their energy into, and it's
But
gross.
nonetheless, he hit the 1K in the best building in the entire league to do it. I was surprised to see he's the 6th player, at least on the list they showed. People that have scored their 1,000th point in their old team's arena or against their
Oh,
old
really?
team. Yeah, Marion
I'm
Gabbert
trying to think
apparently
if
did it.
6 sounds high or low because for
To
the amount
me,
of people
like,
who've actually hit 1,000
yeah,
to hit it in the
that's
building you were drafted in.
how many players have hit 1,000? How many players have 1,000 points NHL? 97 before tonight. So that's kind of crazy. Like 6%
Yeah,
of them were scored against their former team, and that's like that 1 point. That's crazy,
yeah.
actually. And a couple, I think one was 2014. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I know Gabrick was one, but
Mhm.
2014, 2008, 2004 were the last few. So it's like all recently too. Anyway,
Interesting. His
stats.
dad was
Stats are
incredibly
fun.
happy about it. It was cool that it was a dad's trip and he got to see that.
That too. Totally forgot. Yeah, having his dad in the crowd. That's got to be awesome. And I'm trying to think for Tavares. Does it feel better to do it in Toronto or to do it on the island? Like,
I
I don't
think
think
it
he's the
would have
kind of guy
felt
that
better
relishes in
tonight.
it.
If they won tonight, I think it would have been better than if he did it in Toronto. That would
That's
have been
true.
like the king daddy. But other than that, I think probably in Toronto would have been more ideal.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the guy who would like to rub it in. Like how Kessel brings the cup to Toronto. Like He's somebody that would, want to do it in front of friends and family more
Yeah.
so than in front of a bunch of people booing him.
It was nice to see him. He had like one moment
God.
on the bench afterwards where he had just like a huge smile, which he never really does, right?
Okay. That was thank you for reminding me. That was one of my favorite things because it was like they caught him smiling, and then as soon as he realized that the camera was on him again, did you see him just go, just mean
He's
face?
like, I'm not supposed to do this.
It was like
Probably
somebody
the first time he's ever
whispered
smiled
to
in
him, like,
years.
John, you're on camera. And he went, what? You're on camera. Oh,
shit.
Can't show emotion. It's like it almost humanized him a bit that he's like not playing a character, but there is an on and off ice John Tavares, and we don't usually see that off ice him unless you really follow like the videos and stuff behind the scenes. But once the game starts, he's usually in game mode.
He's like a professional's professional. He does not let anything get to him. You're right. He's like deadpan. So the fact that he actually did that and then caught himself doing it is so funny.
Yeah, that was great. All right, let's start it.
Hi, this is Mike Ross, public address announcer for your Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is the Leafs Late Night Podcast, your post-game destination. And now, your starting lineup: Roscoe, the Fanalist, Suthy, Beaner, and Darty Brodeur on the Leafs Late Night Podcast.
Alrighty. So we missed the Nashville game. A lot of us had stuff going on. It's Christmas party season. So the Leafs came out with a 4-0 win over Luke Shen and Ryan O'Reilly, which is awesome. And Yarncroke, I believe, scored against his old team, which is cool. I think he got one on that one. Marner with a... Yeah, Camp scored. Marner with a nice breakaway goal. And Samsonov posting a shutout, which is kind of the biggest story of that one. And really, coming over to tonight, it's like we saw all of Ilya Samsonov in 2 back-to-back games, the highs and the lows. Because, I mean, really, not that he let in 6 or 7 goals tonight, but a couple of those you definitely want back if you're trying to stay in it, especially when you're so crippled on D. I mean, they've got 3 guys that really shouldn't be in the lineup in there right now.
Yeah.
And you're down to a underconfident backup goalie, we'll call it. So for him, I was hoping that the shutout against Nashville would boost him up a bit, especially after dealing with an illness and missing so much time. But yeah, like I said, there were a couple of those you want back tonight.
It was like just the confidence level that I found with him. He, especially early in the game, he was sliding post to post so much. He had a really hard time tracking pucks. He was late to reacting on pucks. So it wasn't even more like a story of one game to the other. Even in this game, like he had great spurts, but he also had really, really shaky moments too. And you can tell like the team was just not confident playing in front of him.
Yeah, and again, even with the team, it's strange coming off the Nashville game where they kept them to 18 shots. I know Nashville's kind of a different team, but in terms of their play style, it's fairly similar to how the Islanders play. They throw a ton of hits. There's a few guys that can score, and otherwise it's a shutdown team with a really good goalie. So, I mean, to put it pretty simply, but it's strange that they were playing such a shot-limiting shutdown game against Nashville, and then they couldn't carry that over. Like, they didn't try to run that same strategy back tonight against the Islanders, or the Islanders read through the game notes and were able to break it. But like, they've let so many shots get through to Sammy, and yeah, again, it's weird the confidence wasn't there after a shutout, and it's weird that the team kind of broke from that pattern that they started.
It was a weird thing because like they started the game pretty good. The first 8 minutes, I found they were strong. They kept all the Islanders chances from outside along the boards, going around the half circle. But after that, like especially I found the wingers from the center ice line to the top of the circle inside. They just let everybody get by. They lost every puck battle there. They had the cycle game going, and it just like they just hemmed them in, and they kept getting shots and shots. And I couldn't understand what the wingers were doing because, and especially Bertuzzi, God, this guy's driving me fucking crazy right now. It seems like he's got cement in his skates. He's always losing his guy, and whether it's like resulting in a goal or not, it's just another chance.
Yeah, and really the consensus online tonight was that the Leafs were getting bullied pretty early. Like, once they were able to, like you said, there was a few spurts where everyone seemed like they were on, but otherwise, like they couldn't get anything going. They were getting pushed around. And it's strange, like with Bertuzzi, this is somebody who's supposed to be a bully and try to protect guys from this happening. And again, we're seeing him kind of fall into, I guess, the Leaf system instead of the Leafs adjusting to him. And that was what some of the worry was: is how many people does it take to change the culture?
It is, but like he's a speedy guy, and he's just always losing his wingers. As soon as they start circling around the ice, his feet aren't moving, and they lose him. So the center tries to pick him up, and then he goes for the center spot, and they're all out of position. It's a huge, huge problem, I find, and I've been noticing that like more than any other player is him, because you expect more from this guy, right? In the offensive zone, he hasn't been quite doing it, and in the defensive zone, like you said, he's supposed to be a pest. He's not a very big guy, but like he's got some strength to him, and he's just not playing with that whatsoever.
Yeah, and those are the two elements we brought him in for: is being a pain in the ass who can score, and he's doing neither of them. So it's kind of still the waiting game. Like we hope by now he'd figure it out, but we're like 23, 24 games in, and we're still like, Bertuzzi, what you doing, bud? And we've switched the lines now. Like who's he playing with now? It's him and Robertson and Tavares, I think, was the second line.
Like that, which is a weird line. Yeah.
Strange.
You just expect so much more from him. Like even in one end or the other, you're just not getting it in either right now, though.
Yeah. Otherwise tonight, Matthews hitting a couple posts. They did a count.
He was amazing.
Up to 21 posts and crossbars, I think he's hit.
And no, that's not true whatsoever. Apparently it was 8. They were just way overestimating how many posts he actually hit.
Oh,
so
Lord.
I think with tonight he might be like 10 or so, but he actually came to play. Like he was driving play, he was stopping pucks in the D zone, he was in proper position. He was by far their best player.
Yeah, and one thing I've been giving them shit for a lot this season is not connecting passes, not communicating well, and it seemed like between him and Tavares and Marner and Willie, they were all making most of their passes. Willie.
I thought Marner played a brutal game tonight. 0 shots on goal. I barely noticed him at all.
I did a few. I mean, to be fair, I was cooking and cleaning at some points of this game, but I did see that there was a couple little plays in front of the net that he was involved in. I don't know. It's sure, we'll leave him out of it. But it seemed like there was a little more communication going on with passes, and Matthews taking more shots, which was nice. You know what? Now that I think of it, there was one time where Mitch had that breakaway and he held up and passed it back to Bertuzzi instead of taking a shot, and I was so fucking mad.
Was right at the beginning of the game too. Yeah, Bertuzzi actually drew a penalty on that, which is a great play by Bertuzzo, I think it was. He probably saved a goal there, but he got to shoot on that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, look, the Leafs ended up scoring on that power play, but really, when their power play is 2 for 21, you don't really want to bank on drawing a penalty there instead of taking the shot. So
here's another thing that I find like it's indicative of, which I've noticed lately, is the Leafs they'll go along the half ice, like along the boards. There's 2 of them coming. There's 2 defensemen here, and they'll just throw it in the middle of the net, and it never really works out. That's a play you make in Pee Wee, Bantam, novice type shit. You're doing a smart play because defense don't really know where to play. But in the NHL, this is never working, and it usually comes back on their end in a fast rush.
Yeah, that's a play that I would do as a kid so often. Old Shell games.
They just chuck it to the middle of the net way more than they should.
Yeah, and when you've got guys that are good at tipping it in, like, great, but they haven't been that great at it this season. I mean, JT's been fantastic as always, but besides that, like, who's getting you're absolutely right and muscling their way there?
But if you guys have in front of you and then you like put the puck there, that's a different story. When you go kind of almost like to the icing line and then dish it back in front, you're not going to get that tip. Like it's just not going to happen. It's a higher percentage. That's where it bounces back and the automatic rushes start.
Yeah, and they've been giving up a lot of those. You're right. When they try to center that and then cough it up and everyone's out of position, and all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1 or something. There's been a lot of those lately.
A lot.
And I mean, really, that's how they ended up losing an OT, but different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, JT's been good at tipping goals in. Picked one up tonight, which was nice.
He did. He was huge in the faceoff dot too.
Yeah,
as was Matthews.
Amongst the rain of booze. Actually, I think JT's among the top in the league right now for faceoffs, because I know he started off a little shaky, but he's got.
He did, but like late in the end of this game, he was winning almost every draw, which eventually led to the 6-second left goal.
Let me check. I want to see here skaters. I'm pretty sure he's like in the top few percentage face-off wins of people that have not, taken multiple.
He
but
usually is.
Let me check here. Tavares is 39th in the entire league with a 62%. So, I mean, really, that's got to be as far as
With
guys
how
that
many
take
fake,
face-offs.
face-offs taken, though, right?
Yeah, that's the thing is the NHL site is so awesome. It doesn't tell you how many face-offs they take. I'd have to go to a different site, even though I always get shit on for choosing shitty sites. Can I see it on this
I mean,
one?
like if you're going to the top percentage of 1 to 3 centermen on each team, he's way up there probably.
Yeah. Okay. Here, if we're going, I know this. Oh, here he's number 3.
Yeah, that makes way more sense.
Vincent Trocheck and Michael McLeod are the only ones ahead of him. McLeod's only ahead by like a half a percentage, and Trocheck
Really?
by like 1. So yeah, 63.6, 62.9, and 62.1.
That's a huge number.
Yeah. And he's 213 faceoffs, 131 last. Anyway, tangent, but JT is absolutely a fucking demon in the faceoff dot this year, and that's helpful when the game's on the line and you have to take an offensive zone faceoff and the goalie's pulled and your team basically depends on playing clutch. It's kind of important.
Like,
but let's
and
throw
he's
David
been a good player for us
over
lately.
time.
Like, I thought he played a pretty good game tonight too.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not like he's somebody who's affected by fans booing him, but just the mental aspect of that aside, it's just distracting audio wise to have people booing every time you touch the puck. Like even if it had no emotional effect on you, it's like, this is just irritating. Like I have to actively tune this out every time to pay attention to the game. Like that's gotta get frustrating. So kudos to him for still playing a stellar game in his old barn. Well, not his old barn, he never played there, but
Yeah, we get what you're saying. I'm trying to think of the last guy who got that type of treatment for so long. I feel like Chara got it pretty bad in Ottawa for a while.
I would say Alfredson in Toronto got it pretty bad for a long time, like after it was necessary, but different scenario, I guess, like not playing for your old team.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Because after that Sundin stick breaking thing and he mocked it, they were ripping on Alfredson for years.
Yeah, he was hated for a long time.
Yeah. I remember the Raps were putting his picture up on the Jumbotron to get people to boo when other teams were up for free throws. Yeah, classic.
Oh, the
now
things we do in Toronto.
Put a hockey reference up at a basketball game and expect NBA fans to know what you're talking about.
No, those days are gone.
Yeah, long gone. Well, so the Leafs managed to tie it up. Morgan Riley with a beautiful little tip in there at the end. All for naught, unfortunately, with a very quick OT loss. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. On that OT goal, like you kind of want to see Morgan take away the pass and just let Sammy take that shot, right? Because he's not going to stop that cross ice sauce as it was. But at least give him a chance, like just save the shot. And I don't feel like Morgan played it super well. But whatever, we got a point. We got 11 straight games with points, I think now.
11 of 12, they said. But yeah, I mean, behind first round playoff exits, not starting on time. I don't know what else we're known for, but I would say, too many men on the ice penalties. I would say one that doesn't get enough credit is that wow, I actually just lost my train of thought completely as I was making up my intro to it. But when they holy shit, what were you saying about the OT?
Just how Morgan should have played the pass instead of.
Oh yeah,
they're
so bad.
Let the shot happen.
The Leafs are fucking horrible at screening their own goalies. Like it's something that they don't get enough credit for. Like Jake Muzzin was one of the best at standing in between the shot and the goalie and letting it go in. Like underrated for how like a great defenseman, but oh my god, if he's not actually on the person, he's in between them and the goalie every time. The Leafs are always bad at that, so I'm not surprised that happened because they either have a goalie that they don't have confidence in net.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, they're
Because
always
if
trying to
Joseph
block
Wall
it.
is in net there, I think he takes that pass away 100 times out of 100. He doesn't even care about the shot. He lets Wall handle it.
Well, look, in the Nashville game, you think they took 18 shots on goal to have 18
Yeah.
shots? Like, no, they were blocking a shit ton from getting to Sammy to
Yeah.
help him get that shutout. And that's the game they were trying to play again, but it doesn't always work. So here we are.
He's got to
But
find
yeah,
his game.
Matthews has been back on. 19 goals and counting. Love to see it.
Tied for number 1 in the league, I think.
Yeah, with Cooch.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see, once Willie starts to fall off a little bit. I think that break with the week on either end of the Sweden game kind of cooled him off. But it's nice. It's nice that during that time Matthews gets to rest and come back hot, and he's been good ever since they've been back. So let's just pass it off to whoever's feeling it at the time.
Exactly. Like, he's been dangerous, and he hasn't been scored in huge bunches either, which is an encouraging sign for Leafs fans, because once he actually starts putting games together, it's going to be ridiculous. And, like, heaven forbid, all the Leafs core 4 actually play good at the same time. That'll be another big thing. Like the point that we're collecting points right now is huge.
Yeah, the only thing with the points in 11 of 12 games is, like, if you lose games in overtime, you can get points in 12 of 12 games, but it can be 6 points, which is like winning 6 of, or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's true. But they have been winning overtime games, right?
Yeah, it's just a misleading thing sometimes to say they have points in 11 of 12 games.
It is.
Like, yeah, okay,
it is.
But, if they're losing a bunch in overtime, they have half the points they could have had in that amount of games. So
1,000%. If you're losing every overtime game, it's a big difference compared to if you're winning every overtime game.
Yeah. So what are they actually in their last 10?
Be curious to find out.
Standings. Oh my gosh. Why is it getting harder and harder to, like, get NHL stats?
I don't know. I feel like we should just blame Batman.
Yeah, it's funny. The Google thing that pops up is the best one at this point. There's 6-1-3 in their last 10. So 3 overtime losses isn't bad, but there's no other team. Oh, only the Penguins, who are on a fucking shit streak.
They're on a deep slide right now.
Oh, the Golden Knights have lost 3 in OT in their last 10. But you get my point.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
Yeah. The points.
Yeah.
Well read.
Yeah. Panthers and Bruins still ahead of the Leafs in the Atlantic Division. They managed to pass the Detroit Red Wings here by a single point with their OT loss tonight, which is nice.
Yeah, looks like the Red Wings they're about to lose too. So,
that'll be a 3-game losing streak for them. So that's good for the Leafs.
Yeah.
Lightning, Canadians, Sabres, and Senators being under the Canadians and Red Wings in the standings is mind-boggling to me.
It's insane.
I thought those two were going to put it together this year and challenge for a wild card spot finally, and Detroit and Montreal went, nah, we're going to get that. We're going to go for it instead. Yeah, pretty wild. Okay, so some quick things came out during the game here. We had David Perron getting a 6-game suspension for his two-handed cross-check to the face of, I forget who it was, after we saw Dylan Larkin go down in a very scary way. If you haven't seen it, but you can go and check that out. Larkin gets hit, and he's unconscious on the ice. It's one of those terrifying moments.
Yeah.
And the way that I see it is, in that moment, it doesn't matter what team you're on. Like, everybody around him is like, "Oh fuck!" Like at the start, people are jumping on each other. Well, no, I'm remembering this wrong. So it starts off that everybody's looking, and then this two-handed cross-check happens. Then the fights break out. So if you're standing over and being like, "Oh fuck, is this guy okay?" and somebody comes out of nowhere and smashes your face with a stick, yeah, that's kind of a dirty play. I get it's his client, but Alan Walsh, who's been like we need to protect players from CTE and yada yada, coming out on Twitter and being
hard.
like vehemently being like, we're gonna appeal this, basically, like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
it's not a good. I don't know. I usually like Walsh's takes on things, but that was a bad luck for him. I think this was a pretty dirty one. Like 6 games might be a lot, but what we've seen this year is they're handing out a couple more games than they have in the last few seasons to try to make a point. And like they've said, they really want to take these headshots out of the game. And look, Perron might be the poster boy for it now. Like if this is what they're going to do.
Like if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Because I feel the reffing has been, to put it mildly, like inconsistent. Especially like the whole Gabranson and Cousin thing that happened last game too. If they're policing this more during the game, maybe we don't have this as much. But 6 games doesn't. It seems about right. But like the whole Alan Walsh thing, like you said, he came out pretty hard for his client there, a little bit too hard, to the point where you're like, put on the Jets.
He's that weird balance between he's an agent, so he's always going to protect his own guys. Like remember the flurry with the sword in his back thing? That was Alan Walsh.
Yes.
Then on the other side, he's a great advocate for the players as a whole and for
he is
having progressive ideas for rule changes in the league. So it's like this strange position he's in where he would be a great commissioner, but he's also a fantastic agent. So he's like,
I feel like his takes are on a lot more than they're not, but when they're not, you're just like, come on, buddy, you're better than this. Like your track record shows.
Yeah. Remember what you've argued before you stick up for your clients. Like, the minute the suspension gets handed out, like it was within 10 minutes that was posted. It's like, guy, take a breath.
The check's still coming through. Don't worry about it. Like, you're good.
Yeah. Speaking of, I did the math. If it's their salary divided by 82 games and then multiplied by 6 for 6-game suspension, that's like $350,000 for David Perron.
That's a ton in NHL money.
That's not a small amount for anybody.
No.
Like, whether you're a professional athlete or not, like 350 G's, you're like, ooh, that hurt the pocket. Like if you're making
a little pre-segue, like you're no fucking Shohei Ohtani at this point, but those 350 sheets, you feel that.
Yeah, but you did mention the Goodbranson one, and that I was surprised about. So this one, if you didn't see it, Goodbranson basically grabs Cousins from behind, beside, kind of in like a choke slam. From the side, wraps his arm around his neck, throws him to the ice, and just starts like. It's funny. I just watched The Batman the other night, but in that opening scene with all the thugs coming at him when he punches that guy down to the ground and he just keeps punching him. Goodbranson basically does that.
He was the king crusader there for sure.
He gets 1 game. Literally minutes after they announced the David Perron suspension, they're like, and Goodbranson gets 1 game. And everyone went, wait, what? Didn't you just set this precedent that you're going to suspend people for these headshots and dirty plays? And it's like, this was
fair, he just wanted to beat the shit out of him because he got nailed from behind. And if the refs, like I was talking about earlier, like this has been so inconsistent. If they called that hitting from behind or boarding, whatever, this doesn't happen. So he took it in his own hands and he grabbed him and Cousin turtled. He turtled twice that game on him.
I guess it's the difference.
This guy's the biggest piece of shit maybe in the whole league. He's fucking top 5 for sure. And he turtles all the time. It's disgusting to see. Him and Kachuk, I hate them both. God, I hate them.
I guess it's the difference between assault and assault with a deadly weapon as far as the league goes. Like you hit someone in the face with your stick, 6 games. You punch them, it's 1. But no, you're right.
Yeah, but
like,
he was grabbing a bit first before he went down, and then Cousins did the whole this. And you're right. Like, Branson should not be punching his back of his head, his neck, whatever. But if you're playing the way that Cousins is playing, the way that Florida is playing, the way that Paul Maurice is playing, you have to answer the bell sometimes. And they just don't. They're the biggest chicken shit team I've ever fucking seen.
That's why it's funny that we it's fine. It's funny that they actually seem to kind of judge these scenarios sometimes based on like whether the person had it coming or not. Because really they could have, like, I didn't have time to see the lead up to it. I was actually going to ask, but you ended up explaining anyway, like what caused this in the first place. But it I don't know, it seems like they took into account that there was a build up to this. It was not with the stick, it was somebody getting punched, and the guy basically, like you said, he turtled. So
Yeah, you got hit from
one game
behind.
just
Like Cousins
seems
left
like
his feet doing it.
yeah.
One game seems right for everything that transpired in that game. He wasn't very hurt. He came up. He was chirping like crazy after turning like a coward. But yeah, one game seems good.
Okay, fair. So you mentioned also, we'll segue to the Otani thing. Everybody was mad about this when the info came out. It seems like what happened, as far as we can tell, is that the Otani camp leaked that he was on his way to Toronto and that it was imminent to finally get that last offer from the Dodgers, the 700 mil for 10 years. They were holding out on it, and the Jays had an offer on the table that was north of 600 million apparently, but they wanted the 7, and they basically bluffed all the way to the end that he was on his way. So we all got used. Not only the Toronto fans, but the entire Canadian baseball fandom was used as a bargaining chip for somebody who's now going to circumvent the cap for the next decade. This is so annoying. Like,
okay, listen, I'm not usually one to put on the tinfoil hat. I like try to stay away from these conspiracies, but as you said, this was a devious plot, and it worked. The person they had on that plane was another CAA client. This had to have been all planned out. Like, the way this went down was so frustrating and not a great look for Toronto sports.
wait, are you saying Robert Herjavec is under the same agency?
He's represented by CAA as well, yes.
Oh my god.
Hey, how about this, Robert? We're gonna give you a couple bills here. Go fly down to Toronto on this plane. Don't say shit. We're gonna jack up Otani's money like crazy.
That's actually
it's out there like that. Like I said, I don't usually like to delve in these type of hearsay or conspiracy shit, but it seems a little legit.
The timing of everything was a little too perfect.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. Oh, it's
We're
definitely
also
going
kind
to
of
happen
burying the lead, though. The way his contract is structured is insane to any sports league.
Yeah, like, imagine Matthews just said, yeah, I'll sign 13 point whatever it is, but you only will just pay me all of it when my contract's up. I'll just take $2 million a year. That is literally what Otani did. So if anyone didn't see this, he's taking $70 million a year, 46 against the cap, and $68 million a year deferred. So he's making $2 million a year, and then once his contract's up, they're going to pay him $680 million without interest, I might add. So it's not even like he's benefiting in some way from doing this. All he's benefiting from is saying, I don't want to fucking lose again, so I'm making it so you guys have enough money per year to spend on other players to build a proper team, which is not fair.
It's the most blatant circumvention of any luxury tax, salary cap, whatever money thing you have going on in your league, like parameters that are set. They're breaking every goddamn rule of it.
Well, apparently this isn't against the MLB's rules, which is insane. That's the stupid part. Is like if you have a luxury tax that's supposed to be for parity and leveling the playing diamond, but like, look, if you can do this, then what's the point? Like, and I also saw the list of teams paying into this this luxury tax. Like, there's teams paying upwards of $100 to $300 million since the last couple of years, just in luxury tax, because they don't give a fuck. So what's the point? Like, there's teams that win like 8% of their games every year. Like, I don't know. This is so fucking annoying.
I wonder, like, if the Blue Jays contract was actually structured like that too, because behind the Mets, they are the richest team in the MLB. They've got more money to throw around than the Yankees, everybody else. I think it was like upwards of $17 or $18 billion. So you have to wonder if maybe theirs was structured like that too. But even still, I would have been like, what are we doing here? Like, this is not good for whatever league you're in, right? There's no way that the bottom 28 teams can fucking compete with this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Leafs are in a position where they could do this. There's a lot of hockey teams and basketball teams that if this was available, they would be like, yeah, I'll just pay it all at the end of the contract. Fine.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we'll pay Matthews like 75 mil at the end of the contract. I don't give a shit. Like,
But like that's not a thing. You set up a luxury tax, you set up a salary cap, whatever, for these certain rules. So if you start doing this, what's the point of having it?
and the fact that they get 46 mil against the luxury tax is seems like such an arbitrary number.
Who decided that? Yeah, like what?
Yeah, so it's like they don't get the full 68 million off their imaginary cap, which I don't even understand the point
70.
of. It just saves them money basically at the end of the day. So that's the stupid thing, is like it doesn't change the team you can put onto the field like it does in hockey, where like you can't go over the cap. All it means is these owners are paying more money, and if they're putting a better team on the field and more people are coming to watch, who gives a fuck if it costs you a couple extra mil? Like,
yes. Like you'll find that in the NBA they have a luxury tax, the exact same thing, but to circumvent it like that, where the whole money is not counted against it year by year, it's crazy to me.
yeah, I think there's a middle ground here. Like, I'm not saying by any means that a hard cap system is the right way to go, but I think that this is just allowing rich teams to put together whatever they want using their money. Like, it's literally taking off the barriers of, if you're allowing billionaires and these big conglomerate corporation owners to buy teams, then you have to take into account that they're going to throw around as much money as they want.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Like, I'm not advocating for one system or the other, but I will say this. If your aim is parity, a hard cap is by far the fairest. And what is happening elsewhere is, yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely the fairest way to go. I mean, fuck. Look at the NHL. I mean, even the shitty San Jose Sharks that are still a minus 54 are 5-3-2 in their last 10. Look at that. Like, it's never the end of the world in the NHL.
You can argue if it's better or worse for your game, but at least it's fair.
Yeah, I'd say there is a frustrating element to it. Like, as Leaf fans, your team is playing really well, and then you go up against Arizona, and they'll beat you 6-2 or something. It's like, what just happened? How did the worst team in the league just beat us? Well, the worst team in the league isn't that much worse than your team, but they're only a few players away from being there. Like, it seems like every team is a few players away from being as good as the other. So
exactly, they're allowed to spend the same amount of you. So
yeah. Anyway, I feel like I'm stating the obvious at this point. Let's get out of here. We're back tomorrow night. Who do they play? Is it the Rangers then?
Yes.
We're just staying in New York. Oh, fun. Two of the best goalies in the fucking league back to back. It's okay.
Does Sammy get the start, or do you think it's Jones?
Martin Jones against the Rangers? Oy. Probably, to be honest.
I think it's Sammy. I think they're going to try and build his confidence up a little bit and give him another shot.
Man, it was so sad seeing him lying on the ice at the end of the OT there.
He just had no chance.
It was like shades of Jack. Just, oh no. No, please don't be sad. Don't be sad. Get up. It's okay. It's okay.
Don't be like Jack. He's probably playing in a beer league somewhere right now. And
oh, poor guy. I honestly hope that he makes his way back up to the NHL.
I hope so too, but that's a tough road.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening in. It's been Leafs Late Night, where it's never too late for the Leafs. We will catch you next time.
Ad demain.
Cool.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Leafs Late Night, your night of post-game podcast. Available after every game on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and more.
Oh my God.
That was a good little